Hi, hello, welcome. Call me Casual, and I hope you're as excited as I am, because patch 1.1 is upon us, and it's brought some rather groundbreaking changes, with one of the biggest being the ability to turn off automatic chain attacks, something I've been asking for since literally day one. And the end result is even better than I could have ever expected. I mean, how often can you truly say, no cap, no clickbait, I must say this with my whole chest, this changes everything. But of course, in my own comments and across the community, I've seen a lot of people wondering, why wouldn't you want to use your chain attack? And that's a fair question, because they do a lot of damage, they can give you really powerful buffs, and they're the only way to acquire the assist points you need for parries. So yeah, why not use your chain attacks? Well, there have always been several good reasons, from maximizing your DPSs on field time to prioritizing things like your anomaly buildup, but now there's an entirely fresh layer of strategy, especially since you don't just control if and when you start a chain attack, you can cancel out of them at will. So today, we're gonna break down the nuances of how manual chain attacks work, the strategy behind when to avoid them, and when to use them, and if you pay attention, you may pick up a couple pieces of combo tech as well, because this update genuinely flips everything on its head. So, without further ado, let's get into it, starting with how the new manual chain attack system actually works. First things first, in order to enable manual chain attacks in ZZZ, you simply open up your options menu, scroll down to the bottom where it says Other, and you'll see an option for chain attack mode. You can also change this at any time on most roster screens, and you'll also receive a pop-up like this at some point after you launch the game for the first time after installing the patch. But just keep in mind the menu option in case you change your mind or want to alternate between automatic and manual chain attacks. Now, when it comes to how all of this works, by default, we all have automatic chain attacks enabled, and as happens normally, those will trigger as soon as the daze meter fills and your character lands a heavy attack, which varies from character to character, but it's often the last hit of your basic attack string, your dodge counter, your special attack, your chain, ultimate. However, once you enable manual mode, as long as you're holding down the attack button, the chain attack will no longer trigger. Pretty straightforward, right? Well, it's actually kinda deceptively simple, because there's a lot that goes into precisely when and how your chain attacks trigger once manual mode is enabled. For example, you don't have to be holding down the specific button for the attack that you want to avoid triggering a chain with. Say you're launching a special attack that would normally set a chain attack off. If you release that special attack button but hold down the basic attack button, you will still nullify the chain attack. I've talked about clean inputs a lot on this channel, and they're more important now than ever, because if you aren't paying attention and you're mashing at the wrong time or holding a button that you don't need to be, you can mess up your entire flow. Especially because, again, remember, chain attacks don't trigger just based on the attack connecting with the enemy in general, they trigger on specific hits, and not always the last one. Ellen is kind of the perfect example, because she has multiple places in all of her combos that can trigger chain attacks. If you caught the Ellen combo video, or if you just happen to be familiar with Ellen and her kit, you'll know that her round trip is one of her best attacks. But with auto mode enabled, if you use round trip, you'll notice you almost immediately go into a chain attack moments after it connects, which actually cuts into your damage, because when using Ellen, you want to hold down the attack button to extend the time her scissors are on field in order to maximize your damage and ice anomaly buildup, while avoiding wasting her flash freeze stacks. You can also run into a similar issue with her EX special, because normally you can follow it up with another one of Ellen's strongest attacks, her Sharknami, or go into a round trip, but with auto enabled, you'll always initiate your chain attack in the first part of your EX special sequence without ever making it to the follow-up. But with manual mode, you'll notice you can fit in the entire duration of Ellen's round trip by simply holding down the button like normal. But if you learn the timing, you can release on the last hit and still trigger the chain attack at will. And of course, you can decide which part of Ellen's EX special actually sets off the chain attack as well. And brilliantly enough, that's not all. The devs have also introduced the ability to cancel your chain attack whenever you want, so now you can do things like change Yuen into Nicole and cancel out of your third unit entirely, straight into that quick assist. That way you maximize Yu's on field time and her unique stun window buffs. Quick editor's note, I almost didn't bring this up because I don't know how often people will be doing this. It does feel kind of niche, but let's say you only want one character out of your three to use their chain attack when fighting a boss, right? If you cancel after the first chain, the enemy will actually reset back into their dazed state, and will have to very quickly trigger another chain attack and cancel that one as well to get the proper stun buff. Interestingly, if you do this, you can actually continue your combo. Like here, I just did a very brief test, and I was still able to follow up Ellen's EX special with her round trip by canceling immediately. Again, it's kind of niche. I imagine most players will use at least 2 chain attacks in a lot of boss scenarios like this, but it could be useful to keep in mind depending on your builds and team comps. Now back to the video. The nuances of manual mode are going to be crucial to keep in mind going forward because every character is going to be slightly different as all of their attacks trigger chains at different points in time and get different results. But now that we finally have more control over that, the moment-to-moment decision making behind when and how you trigger a chain attack is going to be key to getting the most bang for your buck. On my end, I know when running my Zhu team, going forward, I'm rarely going to use my third character or Bang Boo again in chain attacks because Zhu's stun burst damage is so high that the extra on-field time for her is kind of invaluable, and swapping between her and Nicole makes for some very comfortable, ridiculously powerful boss-melting combos. Plus, the ability to more easily choose who initiates stun will make it so much smoother to proc that with Nicole for the sake of buffing the next chain attack, or Xingyi, for example, if I wanted to stack more subjugation instead. Manual mode just opens up a lot of doors for a lot of characters, and it would be impossible for me to go over literally everything this one change enables in a brief video, so instead, let's go broad and discuss the general reasons why you may or may not want to trigger a chain attack, as well as when you may want to cancel out of one so you can start experimenting with your own teams and combos. But before we talk about when you shouldn't use chain attacks, we should briefly touch on what they actually do for you because that's going to be a key determining factor in our decision making. Regardless of your character or build, chain attacks will give you decibel energy for your ultimates and more importantly refresh your assist points. But as we get more specific, you'll find there are also W engines like Slice of Time that provide their biggest buffs in the wake of chain attacks. And of course, as I've mentioned, there are also disk drive sets that work with chain attacks as well. Not to mention, characters like GUN can kind of rely on chain attacks as part of their gameplay loop. Chain attacks can be very valuable, and no one is saying you want to ignore them entirely. What makes manual mode great is it gives you a choice. It introduces an extra layer of strategy. Sometimes you'll want to let the chain attack happen, but sometimes you'll want to delay things. So now the question becomes, when does it make sense to avoid using your chain attack? Now, unfortunately, as much as I'm sure some people would love a straightforward answer, an if-then statement dictating, in this scenario, do X and Y to get Z, the reality is, especially with a game like Zenless Zone Zero, it's just not always going to be that simple for a number of reasons. Everyone is going to have different buffs to keep up with, your resources obviously fluctuate throughout a fight, and there are dozens of other small factors that can impact your decisions, and big ones too. Like, you gotta ask yourself, how built is your team? That's gonna be a major factor on its own, let alone everything else. Plus, it's early days for ZZZ, so it's hard to definitively say what the best approach is going to be. So instead of getting too bogged down in the minutia today, I kind of wanted to give you like a top-down set of general questions and thought processes to keep in mind when deciding whether or not to pull the trigger on a chain attack. Like, let's say you're dealing with a bunch of trash mobs. Ask yourself, do you really need your chain attacks to seal that deal, or will using one just interrupt your combo by forcing you to unnecessarily switch characters and waste your time? Especially considering how easy it is to stun the average mob, you're doing it constantly. And outside of that, when it comes to general combat, keep in mind where your individual character's damage comes from. Again, Ellen is a great example, as a lot of her damage is very backloaded, placed at the end of somewhat lengthy combo strings, so sometimes it's absolutely worth losing out on a chain attack buff or the damage from the chain attack itself if it means you'll actually get to fit in all of Ellen's damage inside of that stun window. The 15% from something like Swing Jazz is nice, absolutely, but it just loses a lot of its luster when that 15% comes at the cost of the much more substantial buff from the stun itself because it took you too long to finish your combo. And that doesn't just apply to characters with lengthy chain attacks like Sokaku, there are also Bang Boos who have rather lengthy animations too, and sometimes it's just worth skipping them if they aren't really needed at the moment. And speaking of skipping, remember I mentioned whether your team is fully built or not can be important? I don't know about you, but my main DPS are my only characters at my current level cap. The only characters with slightly juiced up relics, even if my substats suck. And so obviously, they're going to be my main sources of damage, and that would remain true even if the rest of my team was also kinda, decked out. So sometimes it just makes sense to skip the last character in my chain attack entirely, because I'll simply get more value out of a lengthier on-field rotation. I know my Zhu is now very comfortably fitting 14 suppression shots and an ult into a single stun window, and that's without me being as optimal as possible. There's no way a single Andy chain attack is going to measure up to all that. There's also fairly nuanced considerations like your anomaly buildup. I mean, a lot of attacks in this game that generate the most anomaly stacks do have kind of lengthy animations, and they will trigger chain attacks before they're complete, meaning you're potentially missing out on your most potent sources of both damage and anomaly buildup. In fact, this might be even more important for anomaly teams in general than anyone else, because a couple extra seconds from a delayed or canceled chain attack could be all you need to proc an anomaly effect and set you up for disorder. And beyond that, there are also character-specific debuffs to keep in mind, like Xingyi's subjugation. I've already found myself in situations where I'm about to trigger stun, but I'm falling just shy of maximizing her unique resource gauge, so sometimes it's very worthwhile to delay the chain attack to apply more stacks for debuff instead and allow that to proc the chain. Like I said, there are a lot of potential reasons to delay, if not cancel out of certain chain attacks, and a lot of external factors that can influence those decisions, like enemy behavior. So, as always, remember, Zenless Zone Zero is not Star Rail or Genshin. There are rotations that can be ideal for delivering maximum damage, but very few plans will survive contact with the enemy, and it's just a better idea to keep it loose and get comfortable with adjusting your combo routes on the fly instead of relying on consistently pristine combo rotations. You don't need to use manual chain attacks. We've all survived just fine with the automatic option so far, and the way you'll have to pay so much more attention to what button is being pushed or held when is definitely going to be a bit of an adjustment for a lot of players. And I am never going to sit here and backseat or try to dictate how you play. Find your own fun, by all means, and feel free to take from this video what you want and leave what you don't. It's no big deal. But I cannot express enough how much value I think you'll get out of learning how to leverage the manual chain attack system. It is infinitely worthwhile, not just for the sake of your damage output, but because the extra layer of strategy, at least in my opinion, adds an extra layer of fun, and that's all that matters at the end of the day, really. So consider this video a primer, an introduction to what's possible with manual chain attacks, and know that there is so much else to uncover, from everything this means for juggling, to new combo routes that are more viable than ever, to all the additional flexibility this can potentially enable for your team comps. Manual mode changes a lot. In fact, I pushed back last week's Ambi video because I had a feeling it would affect some of what I had to say there, and that was a good call, because it absolutely did. And speaking of upcoming content, part of the reason I wanted to keep this video kind of short and sweet, as much as I could anyway, was because guess what? Your boy doesn't lose 50-50s, so you got a Xingyi combo guide coming your way very soon, and I can't wait to show you what my girl is cooking, because she's got 3, that's right, count them, 3 launchers, and I could not be happier. So thanks for joining me today, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to catch that when it drops. And please, by all means, let me know down below, how are you liking the new manual chain attack system? Have you come up with any cool combos because of it? I'd love to hear from you, but for now, I gotta head back to the lab, so thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you back here sometime very soon.